Today, I want to share with you 3 tips that no one ever taught me when I was learning how to center clay, but they made all the difference for me. Once I discovered these 3 tips for myself, I was able to center larger amounts of clay efficiently, effectively, and reliably. I watched a lot of YouTube videos on how to center clay when I was first starting out. I'm self-taught, so I never had a teacher to actually sit next to me and guide my practice or offer feedback. As a result, I had to watch a lot of different instructional perspectives and styles so that I could experiment and figure out what actually worked for myself. Some really quality teachers here on YouTube include Xin-Chuan Lin, Florian Gadsby, Simon Leach, and Earth Nation Ceramics. The most important thing to understand is conceptual. What are we doing when we center clay on the potter's wheel? If I have a ball of clay on the outside of the wheel here, and I want to put it into the center of the wheel here, how would I do that? Well, I would just push it straight into the center. This strategy works just fine when the wheel is stationary, but it will never work when the wheel is moving. And this is a fundamental misapprehension that I had about centering clay. I thought that I was trying to push the clay into the center. This misapprehension of the fundamental task of centering clay made it totally impossible for me. When we push the clay, we are applying force in just one direction. But when our wheel is spinning, we can see that if we are pushing in that same direction, we stop actually pushing toward the center. And when the ball of clay is over here, we can see that if we keep pushing in that same direction, we're pushing directly out of the center of the circle. So if the wheel is spinning and we're trying to push, we just push away from the center. So what do we do instead? If you wanted to draw a perfect circle on your wheel head, what would you do? Well, I would hold a marker perfectly stationary and let the moving wheel trace a perfect circle. This is what we're doing when we center clay. We force the clay outward on the wheel, but at one point we stop. We hold a steady point that we are pushing the clay into, and as a result, the wheel traces a perfect circle of clay. This is not a complete tutorial on how to center clay. I'm hoping to fill in the gaps when you already have a basic sense of the technique and it's still not working out for you. So I'm going to skip ahead. Every tutorial on centering clay will tell you to brace your elbow on your inner thigh, and that's good. We do it not so that we can push harder, but so that we can resist the outward force of the clay on the wheel. But what does it mean to brace? It's not enough just to have a strong arm, so we put it on our leg. But it's not enough to have a strong leg either. You can't see it, and I'm not going to be scandalous and take off my shirt to show you, but when I'm centering, and indeed for most of the time that I'm throwing, I'm bracing my core, my abs, and my lower back. If I let the clay move my hand, I'm never going to get it in center, right? And if my leg is moving too, that's also no good. But if my arm and my leg are strong, but my whole core is moving, that's also never going to result in perfectly centered clay. I was never able to center reliably every single time until I learned to brace my core. This final tip, I think I actually first learned from Xin-Chuan Lin, so I can't totally take credit for being an autodidact on this one, but it's something that's so integral to centering clay, and it's often sort of glossed over in tutorials that it really bears repeating. Easy on, easy off. This is really a kind of mantra for throwing on the potter's wheel. When you watch an expert throwing on the wheel, you'll notice that their movements are very deft and confident and fluid. It might seem like they're moving very quickly in their throwing, and they'll indeed make a piece in much less time than it takes an amateur. But what they're never doing is rapidly applying pressure or removing pressure from the clay. This is what we mean by easy on, easy off. Ease onto the pressure and ease off again. I often see beginners who have succeeded in centering their clay like this, and then they're so nervous that they will mess something up that they quickly let go. And that, of course, messes everything up. We never want to attack our clay, and we never want to flee from it. Ease on, ease off. So if you keep these 3 tips in mind, I'm confident that as you practice centering clay, you'll have a lot more success. Don't push, be still. Brace your core, and easy on, easy off. Thanks for watching. A lot of my pottery is for sale on my website, so if you like what I'm doing here on the channel and you want to support me, feel free to buy something. You'll have something to show for it, as well as really supporting what I'm doing here. Most potters call cups of this size and shape a chawan, or a tea bowl, but I don't use mine for drinking tea, and I use it for pretty much everything else, from coffee to whiskey to ice cream. So I refer to these as Diogenes cups. If you want to know more about the meaning behind that name and to check out some close-up shots of my pottery, feel free to go to my website, benshane.com. As always, thanks for watching.